Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Total protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal.
Protonic reversal with your host, Conan Neutron. Broadcasting from a secret underground lair in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
A gigantic middle finger to everything that is rock about music, rock and roll, and corporate power.
The thing is, though, if you don't laugh, you're going to go on a killing spree with sharpened nails.
Confidence of a hero or a fool. I wasn't exactly certain which.
Could not be more professional.
It means something. It means something. You know, that's my take on it. What's yours?
Protonic Reversal.
That's like a science thing, right?
Indeed it is. It is a science thing. It is a science place. It is a scientific fact that we are all up in your face. It is time once again for the one, the only Protonic Reversal. Welcome to it. Of course, tonight we have a fantastic guest. They're all fantastic guests. Who we gets and guests. Meryl, Cold Fur, and
wow,
of course,
you know the Meryl, huh?
I got tipped off by music off, and of course mighty fucking Rye Coalition. We have Dave Leto. Welcome to the show.
Your shirt is dope. I have the same one.
I wore my KARP shirt specifically for the occasion, and I was. I had a bit I was gonna do, but I was sticking around.
Do a bit.
So, anyway, fantastic story, one for the ages, truly. Welcome to the show, dude.
How you doing, man?
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me on.
How's Joyzy? How's
It's good. It's
COVID life?
It's getting hot. COVID life's okay. You know, whatever. Where are you?
I'm in Milwaukee these days. I'm from Oakland.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, I'm from Oakland, California, but I'm
So I was just watching the Nets and Bucks just now. We're big Nets fans over here.
So it occurred to me that I saw you get a little bit. Can you turn down your radio, sir? Is that what's going? Is that you or me?
Radio? I don't have a radio.
That's got a shorthand for getting stuff back in there. But He Saw the Cat. Like, that is a record that's still with a lot of people. Like, people to this day, like kids in some case, or kids at heart, let's be clear.
Sure.
That's you guys were very young men when you made that. That was
Yeah, we were very young. 17, 18, I think.
What's your fondest memory of making that record? Or do you have any fond memories? Because that's the stuff changed for Rye down the line, and we'll get to that. But I think it'd be just not to mention this record, which seems to be very, and I don't mean this as an insult, influential. It's a record that like a lot of people listen to, and like some people form bands, et cetera, and it was part of a very vibrant underground world of music. Yeah.
It was the first time, like, we recorded like 7 inches and stuff, and there was like rinky-dink home studios or whatever, and this was the first time like we got into like a real like really nice studio, and it was just like letting kids loose in a studio. Like, we didn't know what was going on. Like, we're like, whoa, like why are there 500 microphones, and what is all this stuff? And,
right.
But we practiced those songs and wrote them, and we didn't know they would sound like that or anything. Like, we just thought they would sound like crap because everything else we did sounded like crap recorded wise. But it came out great. We just wanted to sound like you were just sitting in front of us,
Yeah, it's got a real immediate sound. I mean, there's not a lot of...
Yeah, it's like you're standing right in the middle.
Yeah, it's a band. It's a ferocious live act, as evidence, live footage from around that time of just face melt. Like, in your...
That's what we tried to do.
From a very aggro place, but, with a bit of party, even then,
Yeah, always. I mean, We're from Jersey.
Well, and so that was, I mean, that's got to be what, like 90, 96?
I don't know. I think so. Yeah, 6 or 5, one of those two.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because was a split with KARP before that?
I
right?
think it was before. Yeah, it was before that. It was right before that.
How did that come to pass? Did you know those dudes? I mean, opposite sides of the country. You'd be hard pressed to get on more opposite sides of the country and be in the continental U.S.
We played shows with them in Jersey and like Rhode Island and stuff, and we just hit it off. Like the three of them and their roadie and us. Like we were just like, I don't know. It was like 4 days of like not sleeping and joking and like, you know, we're sitting on porches and drinking and stuff, and like, you know, we're like, we should do a record, and they're like, yeah, and we're like, yeah, whatever. And then like it just happened. Like it really happened. And like, you know, the artwork and stuff, you know, we had nothing to do with. Like, so that was all Mike from Trouble Men. But yeah, like it was so weird because we recorded like a really long song and a really short song, and they also recorded a really long song and a short song, and like we didn't know.
Didn't work it out beforehand. Just ended up being
No, it just like happened, you know. And I love their side of that record. Is amazing, and they were so awesome.
Yeah, fantastic band and fantastic folks, and actually a case where it's a band with a split where like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense for those guys to be on a split together.
Yeah, I mean it didn't because they were more like. They were definitely more of the hipstery Olympia, you know, scene, whereas we were just like, you know, we weren't very hip or whatever, but I guess like it gave us some cred, you know what I mean? Like with the hipsters, maybe.
Well,
I don't know.
Where you're at too, you know, I mean, because it's like, and I've brought up this example so many times. A long-time listeners of the show are probably rolling their eyes right now, but yeah. I feel like for kids today, they think of like KARP as being as big as like Smashing Pumpkins or something were, and I was like, I assure you that
was not the case.
Absolutely not. Like, not to say that they didn't do amazing work and that they didn't like touch a lot of lives and
yeah, they were unreal.
But history like remembers some bands better than others, and some bands are just forgotten about entirely. And so, you know, to me, it seemed like, oh, that was a band. Like that's how I first heard of you, and I heard of you for maybe a solid year and a half before I actually heard you. And that's just because you couldn't. First of all, you'd be like, cellular phone? What do you mean?
Right.
Like,
totally.
But you couldn't just find a bunch of information on a band, consume their entire discography, and then like, you know, whatever, what's for lunch.
Yeah, of course.
I think that, but I do think it's notable because it's stuck in my mind. And so like years later, when I saw you guys play the last show in Princeton, I happened to come in town.
Oh my God, you were there?
It was.
That show was amazing. Like every band.
Yeah, it was like, it was all killers. I mean, you had like Shellac, Zeta, Don Cab, Seam, Oxes.
Who else? Oh, him were unreal.
Yeah, him were really, and that was when I was, who's that? And I'm like, oh shit, this is awesome.
Right. My friend John Theodore was playing drums for them too, and Fred from Hoover was playing bass, and June 44, and that set's on YouTube, and that is an amazing set. And you see me and like the rest of the guys, we're all like right behind them watching them because they were so awesome. Well, I think I played in my underwear in that show. It was like 99 degrees out, at least.
Very hot. I do and
remember. Oxes played with wirelesses, so they were just, it was a football field, and they were just running the football field like back and forth.
Classic Oxes antics.
Yeah, they were the best.
So that was it's not the only time I saw you guys. That was the first time I saw you guys, and I didn't know you guys from Moses, frankly, at the time. And I was like, hey, was that the band that had the split with KARP that I totally forgot to send out? You know, and then I was like, oh, these guys are great. That's awesome.
Cool.
Like, I'm all in. I got like, I mean, I guess it must have been the first record at that point. And I loved it, and I thought it was great. But it was one of those things like, oh, I wish I would have known some of these tunes before I saw them, because because I remember you guys played a little earlier on, if I remember. Yeah,
correctly. We played like 1 or 2 or something.
And like we were like walking up like right as your set started. I'm like, oh, who's this? This is good.
Uh-huh.
And that's a nice feeling. And I hope people still have that feeling now, or if it's in this total information awareness
I would hope so.
world. So, but you guys were coming at things from kind of like the basement show world,
Yeah,
like, you know,
full on.
And did you have an idea of it being like anything beyond just, hey, we're gonna write these songs, play these shows?
Never. Like it gradually got more and more insane, you know, as it went on.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the first tour we had a cassette, you
Right.
know, so that was weird. We had T-shirts that we would make, like, you know, in the hotel. We would go to thrift stores, buy T-shirts, turn them inside out, screen them, $5. You know,
The classic punk rock move, yeah.
yeah, of course. You know, Waffle House every day or Taco Bell, like, you know, and then like, you know, 7 people in a hotel room if we had a hotel room. You know, and then like a little later, it's like, oh, 2 hotel rooms, and then it's like,
we're really high.
right? You know, like, and then like, you know, it got crazy later, like, you know, getting like crazy shows, like opening for Queens and like having Shellac ask us to play like 3-4 shows with them, like, you know, it just like we were like, we always thought of ourselves as like the band's band, you know, like other bands really liked us. That was it. So like all these cool bands would want to play with us and stuff, but like, you know, we would always be the opener or whatever.
I mean, was that something that, I mean, at what point did it kind of become more of, yeah, I guess we could kind of keep this going? Was that like a little later on, like Lipstick Game?
Yeah, like On Top, I think.
Okay, which I do want to
Like
get to. I actually listened to that recently, kind of gave it more a 2021 listen, because I hadn't thrown it on.
Yeah,
a whole rock record.
Holds up. Yeah, like it wasn't until then where we were like, we could just do this for a while, and like we were, you know, making enough money to like pay our bills, which was nothing, you know, back then in that time zone.
Right. It was super cheap by comparison.
Yeah, we're young. Like, I mean, even like most of us just like kept our stuff at like our parents' house, and like we didn't even live home, you know, like we were gone or whatever.
You were out playing. You had the Atlas out. You know.
Yeah, we're just like phone dialing, like with the phone dialer at the payphone, and you know, we were doing it.
So, can you tell me a little bit about this? Well, so while we're talking about that first record,
yeah,
I always liked. I thought "Fucking with Beautiful Posture" is a great tune.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell me anything about that song specifically. I've always been kind of curious about it.
I mean, I don't know. It was just like all the song title, like none of the song titles really have anything to do with the song, you know?
That kind of seems to be around all of the...
Yeah, it's like shitty puns and like, you know, whatever. Just stuff to keep us amused. Because you can't really, you know, we take the music seriously 100%, but like a song, it's like, come on, a song title, like, who cares? So we would just like do these things to make us laugh, you know? And like, even when we wrote set lists, like it was never like the songs that were like, you know, the titles. It was like, you know, whatever, like Led Zeppelin one, Guns N' Roses one, Motley Crue one, you know, like KARP one, Pound one, Shellac one, Jesus Lizard one, you know. You know, we were just taking in like all the stuff we loved, you know, which was like that whole Chicago-y, you know, it was like a mix of like of the Shellacs and Jesus Lizards and, you know, Hoover and Unwound and then like our love of like what we listened to as kids, which was like, you know, Sabbath, Zeppelin, you know, what our parents played.
Yep.
And it was never like, which was like what On Top was like fully realized, like you know, the mixture of both, you know.
Well, and it's, yeah, and there's even on that first record, there's still like kind of a pop sensibility to it. There's hooks. It's just
they're just weird,
grinding.
Yeah. They're dissonant and odd, but if you listen hard enough,
I mean, it's sort of like the audaciousness of it, and it's being kind of like an unrelenting assault on the ears. Kind of
it is
baked into that era of band to a certain degree, right?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, we were definitely in love with like. I mean, there's this band Flag Camp. I don't know if you know them. They're from Canada. I think Toronto, whatever. They have one album called like Yared Fair Scratch, and we were just like, it was our Bible. We were like, these dudes are unreal. You should listen to it if you can find it. It's on YouTube, I think, only. But yeah, we were just like, we were aping stuff we liked because we were kids,
Right.
But like, it turned into like our own thing, because we definitely had a sound that was ours, but all that shit was peppered in,
Well, and you had the sense of humor to it too, and that's one of the things I think that kind of was a bit of a hook for someone like myself, and the fact that like, oh, these guys are awesome. They don't take it that serious.
Right. Because I mean, they were like the bands that we toured with and like played like festivals with were like, they'd be reading like 20-page, diatribes about, you know what I mean? Like before they play, there's like a 30-minute monologue, and you're like,
economic injustice is that it's like, oh my god,
right? And we were just like, "What's up, dude?" Just like,
yeah, exactly.
That was us. Like, here's some music, drink a beer, and like forget about your problems for like 30 minutes.
Right, and it's it occurs to me that vibe kind of continued on, got finally honed as the band went on. It came from
always.
Just like aggro noise rocky kind of direction.
Totally.
I mean, do you have any specific memories of like making that record? Do you have anything like that's
the first one?
Yeah, the first one.
I mean, there's some that like I don't want to talk about that were just obscene.
Yeah,
it had nothing to do with us as a band, but I mean, no, like we were there only for like a week, and like, I remember Alop, who recorded our albums, who was in like Dialect and all that. He brought in this dude, this older producer guy, and he yelled at me for hitting the drums too hard and the cymbals. And he's like, "You gotta hit softer, dude." And I'm like, I don't know how. Like I don't really know how to play drums. Like, this is what I know, and I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can eat a dick because this is what I'm doing. But he captured that moment of like, 5 idiots. I mean, we were there, so it was so fast that like, it was like a blur. It was like, let's do these 11 songs and go.
Was it just like, getting the songs down?
We couldn't afford it. It was like a real studio. So we like rehearsed like for months, and we're like, all right, let's go.
Right. What's up with the album title? I've never understood it. Is it just
there was like a 45 that we found, which was like some guy made of the first like computer simulated voice that could speak, whatever.
Oh, okay.
So
sure.
you had so like I'll send you like a photo of it, but it was basically like you'd have to type in stuff phonetically in order for the computer to say it.
Okay. I figured it might be.
And that was the front cover. It said, "He saw the cat," and the computer was like, "He saw the cat," whatever. The record's terrible, but the cover just looked really cool, and we were like, "Let's steal that."
Yeah.
And we've had people be like, "I love your first album, like it's sort of gate, whatever," and they're like,
Greek,
pronouncing it all crazy. I'm like, "He saw the cat," it makes no sense at all. Like again,
I thought it was like Turkish or something because I'd never heard the name loud for a long time. And then someone's like, "Oh, you mean he saw the cat?" I'm like,
"Oh,
yeah."
Okay. It's Turkish from 5 Italians. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. In retrospect, it seems rather silly, but like, what can it?
Yes. It was literally just like nice artwork we saw.
Yeah. Well, and it's a cool looking album cover. Like it's still,
which is like our first 7-inch too, which. That was a stolen jazz record, which The Refused stole and admitted later on. But we saw cool artwork and just jacked it.
What are they gonna do? Come at us, bro.
Sue me. What are you gonna
get? So then there's some slight changes when Rye kind of moves into the lipstick game era.
Yeah. Our bass player quit. I played bass, my brother played drums, and our guitar player left also. So it was just the four of us, me, John, Ralph, and my brother. And that album was recorded in the same place too, but we took a lot more time on it. And, you know, that kind of started the whole like skronk / classic rock, you know. I mean, we were like obsessed with Pink Floyd Live at Pompeii and like obsessed with Zeppelin. And like, you know, we were just like stealing these little like portions of like what we thought sounded like those bands, you know, while keeping like what we do, obviously.
Yeah, to me, it seemed like you were taking kind of the world of Jesus Lizard and Fugazi and whatnot, and just basically
totally.
like, what if that, but also a little bit classic rock.
Yeah, that's like where
Bombast and like Authority.
Yeah, sure. For those next two albums, yeah, 100%.
And did the writing of songs? I mean, changing instruments is a big deal. Like, so did
sure.
For you at all? Like, did you want to interject different?
No, I mean, like, it's weird. Like, I broke up with my girlfriend at that time. So like, I was just spending a lot of time writing songs, you know? So I really like, you know, me and John wrote all those songs. So like, they're like half his, half mine, and then like half collaborated. So like, we never really, like, we worked them out, but like, we kind of had like full ideas of like what we wanted, you know? Yeah. But we were like, let's throw cellos on it. Let's get a piano player. Let's get like, you know, let's do all we can to make this like what we want it to be.
Let's get Baroque with it.
It's a great album. Someone posted a video of us playing at like the Unitarian Church in Philly, which was like the place on that lineup. And I was like, holy shit, we were like, you know, we were just idiots. Like we played like our set and some guys just like yelling like, you know, play Dazed and Confused like as a dick, you know, and we're like, okay. And we just play it. Like, here you go. Here's 12 minutes.
You asked for.
Yeah, we were just like, we were all like on the same page at that point, you know, because we were playing like every day, you know, nonstop, like hours.
Yeah, and the tightness on that showed for that record, and it's also kind of seems like you were taking elements of like what made the first record cool and kind of just stretching that out.
Sure, yeah, and like having my brother, like, you know, it's the whole Van Halen syndrome, you know, you get your brother, and it's like, you know, you're on the same wavelength at all times.
You have that telepathy that only seems to happen with amongst certain siblings, right?
It's true. It's very true, especially musically, for 100%. Like, he and I are always on the same wavelength.
I was especially, I remember first time I heard that record, how impressed I was with Thanksgiving Day for Cats. Like how there's like, basically it's like, oh yeah, and then it does this other thing. Then it kind of does that for a while. And then like the drums come in and that's super kick-ass. Like it had this whole like, kind of like wow, bold.
That was one of mine. That was one of my babies. That middle part, like where it's like, it sounds just like the record skipping, you know, for like 10 minutes. That's literally lifted from Flag Camp, that band I told you about. Like they had this part where I'm like, is my CD broken? Like what's happening? You know? And you're like, oh no, it's not broken. You know, I was like, I wanted something like that. And it was also like, you know, that whole angular, like Chicago, like, you know, stutter. And like a little, you know, like Chavez. We liked Chavez back then. Like they were super dope. So it was like that halftime, you know, over the skronk, you know. But I was very proud of that part because it's so weird, but it makes sense.
But it's super awesome. And first time you hear it, you're like, huh?
Like, is the record broken? Like, what's happening?
What's happening right now? Is this meant to do that?
Yeah,
it's like
totally.
And I think that is something where that seemed like you guys flexing your muscles arrangement wise.
Yeah.
Too. Like, hey, maybe every song doesn't need to be like a 2-minute long banger.
Yeah. Totally.
You know? I mean, not that all of them, but like you seemed like you can approach a song that, I mean, I'm pretty sure that one clears 7 minutes. That
one's long.
You could do that and pull it off and have it be cool, but you can also do it, pull it off, and have it be authoritative. And it seemed to me like that was an authoritative tune. Like to me, it's on.
Right. We tried. Yeah. The long song on the KARP split was a total Rodan ripoff. Like we were obsessed with like the Everyday World of Bodies, that song.
Which is a ripper. So that's funny you say that.
Yeah.
Never thought of that, but I can totally hear it now that you say it.
I mean, listen to it. It's almost like, the total phrasing is all stolen from that song. But yeah, like we never really wrote long songs until the lipstick game, whatever. And then not much after it either.
So how did it come to be that lipstick game ended up being the title track? Were you walking into it thinking you were gonna have a title track, or?
Well, there's this singer Nick Gilder, who you might know. He sings like Hot Child in the City.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like his album, it's called City Nights, the album. If you find it, the whole album it's a total banger front to end. And there's a line in it where he says like, didn't know she was a player in the lipstick game. And we were all like obsessed with that line. Like, what the hell does that mean? And then like we brought like our own meaning to it or whatever, being like, it's like girls who like, because some of us were burned in the band by girls who liked guys in bigger bands, let's just say.
Yeah.
So it became that, that's what it was, which you can hear in the lyrics, which one of the only songs of ours that makes sense at all.
The rest like strung together enough, like sounds.
Yeah.
But then
that's
again,
a song about like a specific situation, like two specific situations. Yeah.
And not to trash that aesthetic. I mean, look at the Stooges or something, right? Like what the? I mean, he sounds like he's means every what in the Sam Hill does that?
Correct. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
I like the Digital Crucifix. That's another one I like in there a lot. Also hilarious.
Yeah. Stolen from a Frank Zappa song. Yep. Yeah, I mean, we lifted a lot of stuff and just like passed it off as our own, which everyone did. I mean, Led Zeppelin's whole career is that. But yeah, like that's a good song, and like that was because like I don't know where that stretches. Like, there's a drive that you do. Maybe it's in California or something, but like there's like a gigantic like 80-foot like giant crucifix on the side of the highway. And like, it was 3 a.m. I'm like, oh my God, a digital crucifix, and like that just became something you write down.
I think it might be Indiana, if I remember correctly.
I think you might be right. It's just like weird. Like, what the hell is that?
Because I've definitely seen it, and it's definitely been a late night drive and been like, holy crap! Like just like
yes, you know what I'm talking about.
Like, look at this crazy ass shit.
And then, like we would just write, we were always just writing stuff down, like whatever something stupid happened or funny.
Keeping it in a notebook or something, just keeping.
Yes, totally in a notebook. Yeah, we had notebooks with song titles and fake band names, and
But yeah, I mean, it's not all like total ripper shredder noise rocks. I mean, you got like Tangiers in there. You got there's
Trying to Get Pretty.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, there's sort of hints of what to come, which is like that the idiom of like that that style of music that that again, let's be explicitly clear, was not as popular as things like the Smashing Pumpkins.
No, not at all. Zero. You're correct on that, sir.
Tell me about recording that record. Was that a good experience?
Game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of remember like, so it was the same studio, same engineer. We were supposed to record it with Albini, and something happened with him getting kicked out of England he was recording Page and Plant. So he had to go back on the dates that we had. So we're like, screw it. Let's just go back to, Alap, because he knows what we want. But I remember like being super like Phil Spector mode on that album, and like being really, really, really hands-on. We're like, no, it's got to sound like this, or no, we got to do this, which isn't like me usually, but like I was like in this weird like alone. It was just me, and like there was no girlfriend and no nothing. So like this is what I had,
Yeah.
That's. I want mellotrons. I want cellos, and we made it happen. We had much more time, and we like we knew more people who played more instruments, you know, like, so we can call them in and be like, can you play cello? Can you play this? Can you play piano? You know.
Did
Just
you
trying
write
to make
parts out? Like, did you? No, I was just gonna say, did you like notate those out, or were you like, good?
I would just tell them, you know, I'd be like, this is what I want, and I would like sing it or play it or whatever. The only time I've ever really done that, you know, on an album. Most of the time, I just like to play like, you know, the back wall. But yeah, that album was really like a lot for me due to like, you know, personal stuff. Yeah, it is. I mean, I haven't listened to it in a long time, but like, I think I might so soon.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like I kind of.
I remember it being really loud.
Yeah,
like the drums are huge. Everything's huge.
Well, and especially there's good use of space with it too. Like just to go back to Thanksgiving Day for Cats, or Thanksgiving as it is only known through like most digital aggregators, which I never quite understood. Yeah, it just says Thanksgiving. I'm like, no, it's Thanksgiving Day for Cats. That's
correct. Which is from Pet Sematary.
Yeah, it's way better too. But like like when the drums come in at the end of that, you know, like it's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's got that like, you know, big Bono and the
yeah, that's my brother.
Or whatever they was it Castle they tracked that? I can't remember. Like, but the first
was it Headley Grange or
something like
wherever
that?
They were. Yeah,
I've definitely seen albums or whatever. I don't remember the location, and that's okay. Nobody cares. But but it's got some really, you know, big beautiful like rock sounds in there. But it's also still like aggro a little. It's still kind of crazy and for as first convention.
Yes.
So talk to me about like that era of the band. I mean, you're going out, you're touring.
We went to Europe for like 3 months. We did like a U.S. tour for like 2 months maybe, and that's all. You know, we went for it on that one, playing that album and the first album, and we didn't have anything new, so it was just like that stuff, the 7 inches, you know, whatever. And you know, like brotherly fights along the way, but we'd still have each other's backs. Europe was weird because we were like one of the first like bands on that label on Gurn to go to Europe, you know, and like basically like we went there and like came back with nothing. You know, they were like, oh, you know, like all our merch money, and they're like, you have to play for like an hour and a half. We're like, what? Hour and a half? We play for 30 minutes, you know. Like,
I guess they can play the set 3 times. I don't know.
Can't like they don't let you like in Germany, especially in Germany, like they do not let you leave. Like you cannot not do an hour and a half. Like we're like, fuck, I don't have it. We don't have anything else.
Like we know anymore.
Like, you know, we play like like here's some Zeppelin songs and AC/DC, and like this is what we got. Like sorry.
That's hilarious.
And like half the time they didn't even know what they were. Like they were like, "Oh, that last song was great." I'm like, "Yeah, it's called A Whole Lot of Love."
Hey, maybe before some young up and comers. Yeah.
Just and like we were playing squats. Where like you know, like we'd be upstairs and like they would take the ladder away. Like we have to take the ladder, so we'll see you in the morning. Like what? Like we're stuck up here till the morning. Like what if I have to pee? Yeah, like the fascists will come, so we must hide the ladder.
It's a lot of ladder theft and oppression.
There's a lot of ladder theft. Yeah, it was very crazy. But
did you feel like what bands did you feel like you had common cause with around that time?
In terms of what?
Like bands
sound
you
or
affinity to? Well, it could be sound, but could just be like.
I mean, like definitely like. You know, I mean, I guess Hoover was broken up by then, but like, you know, Shellac, Jesus Lizard, Drive Like Jehu, that band Flag Camp, which I've talked about, Unwound, KARP, you know, like all the bands that we just like Juno 44 were around. We were playing with them a lot. I don't know, like Golden, who were like, you know, I don't know if you know Golden. Like we were going tour with them, Trans Am, like we went on tour Trans Am. It was just like, you know, like people who like we bonded with over just like being people, not even just music, you know. Like I love all those bands' music, but like it was an added degree that they were also great people, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
Did you feel like stuff was building at that time?
in terms of what?
Did
In
you
terms
feel
of like getting more popular, or
feel like it was like catching on with folks? Did you feel like
I mean, a little bit. Definitely New York, you know, and like, you know, New York, Boston, Chicago, you know, the big spots.
Yeah.
No, not, you know, Lynchburg, Tennessee or whatever. But we would play these like crazy like biker bars and stuff, and like we would make these bikers our fans, you know, like, you know, they're buying records and making us autograph them and stuff, and like, you want to ride our Harleys? I'm like, yeah. We would just play anywhere, you know. So, but like where like they got it was like the Boston, the Chicago, the New York, the Philly, you know.
Yeah, the major metro areas where they, you know, people come up to you and be like, "All right, so I hear this, I hear this, I hear, yeah, I have those records."
No, you guys are fun, and you know, like you had a good time on stage, so we're all drunk. You guys are great.
Yeah. And the reason why I asked is it seems like there's such a huge leap forward, like when you guys got back and did On Top, that like
Correct.
it almost seemed like. So I put it this way. Here's how I characterize it. Maybe you agree, maybe you won't. I love every Unwound record, all of them.
Yes,
but
same. Me too.
one of my favorite bands of all time. Challenge and Leaves, I feel like there should have been 1 or 2 records in between.
Interesting.
And I know for a fact.
I get it. Those were 2 very dramatically different albums.
And in that same way, but not in that same way at all, I feel like it almost was sort of like jarring for some folks to have you just come out like full on like arena rock rippers.
Right. Yeah. But still keeping the whole indie, you know, skronky crap.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, and most importantly, keeping the hilarious song titles, of course, as well.
Yes, that was where we shined on that one.
I mean, the music, really, it's about the song titles.
Yeah, like we finally got Steve, like time with Steve. So we recorded that. We recorded the Jersey Girls EP and the ZZ Topless Snow Job 7-inch and the Sub Pop 7-inch. So we recorded like a ton of stuff with Steve.
Did you record
in that era?
Did you record all that around the same time then?
Yeah, that was all in the same time. Yeah. Like the Jersey Girls was stuff we didn't finish for On Top. And then the Sub Pop 7-inch, where there's 2 covers, AC/DC and a Grand Funk song. And then the other 7-inch, or just like songs, you know, we just recorded everything. Like, we'll finish them when we finish them. So we would go back, you know, between tour, like, you know, we would take 5 days off in Chicago.
Yeah.
Record there. And like, he's amazing. He's a genius.
He's pretty okay. Yeah.
I mean,
you're into that guy.
And like, you know, like before going in, like we heard all these like horror stories and like, you know, and like you go in there and like you think you're the shit, he's gonna treat you like a shithead, you know. You go in there and be yourself, he's psyched, you know. Like
exactly.
We bonded like quickly, you know, like, and they're like, "You guys want to play shows with us?" We're like, "What? Really?" Like they play like 4 shows a year, and like we get to play them, you know. And like we were late to every show. We got into car accidents, like. You know, Bob and Todd are like loading our amps on the stage because like, you know, it's showtime, you know, and like hurry up offense. And like, they're amazing people. And that whole studio is like, it's like a home, you know, like they treat you like family.
Yeah. It's like Valhalla for.
Yeah. It sounds unreal too.
Yeah.
Like that's where I think we fully found like what we should sound like. You know, like On Top and Jersey Girls and all that stuff.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna give a shout out to one of my best friend and bass player in my band, Tony Ash, who is a bass player that literally after every show we get asked about the bass tone. Like, hey man, that bass tone's great. You know, like he's a bass player's bass player and then some.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of the bass playing in Rye.
Yeah.
And also, Jersey Girls is his favorite, which I was like, oh, interesting.
Wow, yeah, a lot of people really like that one.
Yeah.
I forget about it because it's so silly. But, you know, like the Jersey Shore airbrushed artwork. And
yeah, I know, it's pretty.
It was a pizza, you know, like, it was ridiculous.
It's over the top.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, over the On Top. That's what it should have been called.
And you could do an over the top homage with the arm
We
wrestling.
blew it, right? Just like
Where
with the
Stallone's
hat.
wrestling the truck,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, totally. He's got the weight like right here,
Yeah.
like the installed. Such a great movie. It's a great movie.
I have not thought about that movie in a very long time, but that's
No,
pretty.
me either. I'm glad we shared that together.
They're like, why are these dicks talking about over the top? I want to hear about Rye
It's
Coalition.
amazing. We're gonna arm wrestle next. Like,
Fucking
somehow.
great. Yeah, where's the call? Second.
Through the phone. There we go. Yeah.
Well, and it's too bad you guys were a little too late to be in the soundtrack for that. That would have
I
been
know.
good.
I was like 5 when that movie came out.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would have
great
been Child Prodigy.
Could have been killer. It could have been a great thing.
So, was there a concerted decision to write the songs like On Top and Jersey Girls and there was there sort of, or was it more just this is where we're going now? We've listened to this music since we were like little babies.
Yeah, it got more infused. You know, the classic rock got more infused into the Fugazi, Jehu, Jesus Lizard aspect of our band. But there, you know, both aspects were still there. It was just you know, the rock and roll was coming through more. You know,
I heard
because, you know, you get older and like, you know, your tastes change, you know, like you don't just listen to the same stuff. So like we were getting older and like we were like finding like King Crimson records and Yes records and, you know, so we were like, shit, you know, it's not just like this little insular indie rock world we lived in, you know.
same 20 records everyone else has in the
Right.
scene.
Right. So we're like, it wasn't like a conscious effort, but like it just happened, you know, like 5 guys in a room. See what happens.
I was talking to Aaron Beam from Red Fang, and he was talking about the monstrously talented Brian Giles who plays in that band, who played in that excellent band Last the Juanitas, which I'm a total super fan.
Mhm.
But like at the beginning, he would like bring in these riffs. He'd be like, and they'd be like totally awesome, but they'd be like totally ridiculous. He'd be like, let's just do the first 4 notes of that.
Right. And that's it. John Sherman, the drummer of Red Fang, was notorious for waiting for us to come to Portland, because we would always play Portland, and he would always get completely shit-faced before we even play and pass out before he would miss literally every show. Like one time he was in the back of a flatbed, like a pickup truck, like just dead. Like, is he dead? Like he would party so hard before we got there to like party with us that he you could tell him that too. I'll tell him to his face. He would crash out so hard, and we'd be like, John, he'd be like, leave me alone.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite drummers. He's
a badass.
so tight, so tight. And I'm so happy for him in Red Fang.
Was a Party Time, and I was like, oh, this guy's
Party Time was so good.
Yeah, and like Cody was the one who was like, John's really good. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
you're saying that
Cody
a
was
drummer's really good?
Yeah,
All right, I'm
Cody's
watching.
the best. Yeah.
Just needless digression number 75. There's some dudes I know that they were in this band War Brides, and their band Work Party now, but they went to go see Sandrider, which is John and Nat from Akimbo's new band, and Sandrider like doesn't tour. Like you gotta like go to
Right.
them basically.
You should go to that.
These dudes, they say it on their website. I think it's hilarious. So these dudes like bought plane tickets out from Chicago, went out to the show, got there like even not even like sound check has happened yet, and just started drinking.
Right.
Got so rowdy that they got thrown out of the show before Sandrider even played.
Amazing.
Which is
Great job.
which, when you know those dudes, who are brothers, by the way, like
Right.
it's of fucking course you did. Of course, you fucking nincompoops. But it makes
party too hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a great story too.
Yeah, exactly. They've been dining on that story for years. Yeah. That's interesting. Love you guys. Okay, so all right. What were we talking about? So we're talking about you guys writing
On
like
top, finishing
the
that.
big rock. Yeah, the big informed from the world you come from, but the the big rock song. And that is, and there's something to be said for like Steve Albini's recording, the fact that if you record an awesome rock band in a room, it will still sound like an awesome band in a room years later.
Correct.
No
That's totally
vocal,
correct.
no like, you know, hey, we found this new synthesizer that everyone's using. We're gonna put it for everything and like, you know, make them sound like they're slapping tomatoes together, you know? Okay, great.
Put that on there.
So did you have an inkling at the time when you're doing that record that it was anything other than just like, this is the next step for the band, this is the next step for what we're...
Not until like we heard like playback of the first finished song, we were like, whoa, like this is what we could have sounded like all along. You know, it was just hard, like, you know, to get to Chicago and pay. I mean, not like it was expensive, but like, you know, we were just a bunch of poor kids, and like, you know, getting a label to pay for that record was big. We borrowed money from our singer's friend to pay for that record, so we didn't have a label. Yeah. So if you look on that record, it says executive producer Jaco Mastromonico, I think. That was the kid who like gave us like 10 G's to record that album.
Fucking
and
good.
Then we finally got Tiger Style to put it out and paid the kid back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
What a friend.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, Italian too.
Was it just down for the scene, or was it?
Like he had money and didn't care, and like loved our band and was, you know, friends with our singer, and was like, I'll lend you guys the money, you know.
Nice.
And once we heard it back, like the whole album, we were just like, wow, like we made something, like this is the best thing we've done. Yeah. And then we were like, let's go tour and like play and get this out immediately.
Because that's the that's a tour that you know, my old band played support for you guys, which you were late to that show in Portland.
Of course, we were late to every show. I mean, we had a shitty van, you know, like.
What are you gonna do? Van breaks down. But I mean, you guys just like came out of the gate, and like I hadn't heard the record yet. Like I only knew from the first two, and I was like, oh, like they've been listening to AC/DC, I guess. Like, okay. Like it was cool because actually at the time, you know, my band, I was getting sick of like always we would get paired with the local, you know, Melvin's ripoff or local Jesus Lizard ripoff or whatever. And, you know, all love and all praise, but they usually did like one that those awesome bands did like 17 things did, and it was like, all right, here comes this. Fine.
Right.
So I was like mainlining, you know, Thin Lizzy and like Bon Scott era AC/DC. So I was like, oh, fuck yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Did you notice the crowd reaction? Did the crowds change? Were there less?
Yeah, they got a little more rowdy, you know, like a lot of beer being thrown and a lot of weed being smoked and, you know, other stuff being offered around. Yeah, you know, like it became an older crowd, you know, like it wasn't the 18-year-old emo sad boys and girls, you know, it became like men and women, you know, people out a good time, which we were like psyched, you know, like, like this is who we want to play to.
Like drive like, or like drive like an asshole. Yeah.
Right. We were always like, you know, and we'd always like hang out after, and like we would meet like the best people, and like they're like lifelong friends still, you know, like, I keep in touch with like 100 people that we met on tour, at least, you know. Like,
was like writing or like phoning and writing letters? Like, what was the?
Yeah, I mean, like, well, back then, but now, like, you know, Facebook, Instagram, sure. But like, yeah, I mean, I'd say there's like 10 close people that I talked to that were, you know, people we met on tour, and you know, it's crazy who you meet. Just because you're cut from like the same cloth, kind of, you know, like you get each other. There's like a whole 90s, early 2000s like thing that only if you're from it will you get it, you know. Yeah,
there's the cultural shorthand. There's sort of like a shared experience that
yeah. Like if you didn't experience it, you don't get it.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, again, solid song titles there.
Yeah, totally.
Stop eating while I'm smoking. That's a classic
Which
one.
was actually said by our roadie to our singer.
It's a good instruction. It's a hilarious song title. Works for everybody.
Yeah.
Of course, Hunky Please. That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, that was an ODB nod, to his album, which we were like obsessed with. Yeah.
And there's a lot of like, it's not like they didn't have before, but there, like was the, what does they want? Give the kids a shot. That's a great shouting along in a crowd part.
Yeah, totally. I mean, also true, we didn't know, because we always, as matter like no matter what show we played, we always still felt a bit like outsiders, because like we weren't hip really, and we weren't cool or fashionable, or we were just like these like five like dudes, like men's,
not men's, but men.
We were funny, and like like we weren't like like I'm not throwing names out, but we were just we were just us, and it was like take it or leave it, like drinking in the van while like every band on stage is straight edge, or you know what I mean, like we were just like we're eating meat, everyone's vegan, like we were unapologetic all the time.
Well, you have so speaking of that record, you had that like
that's kind of where it blossomed for sure. Like,
yeah, was a Heart of Gold jacket. It sounds like straight up glam.
Right, totally. Totally, but still, like
this doesn't sound like Refused.
Right? Yeah. You got it.
So, did you feel as the audiences kind of started to change, and then people sort of caught into the record? Did you kind of feel like you're on like a different trip, or did it all kind of seem like part of a continuum of everything that came before?
I mean, that's when we started getting more popular, and like. The reviews for that album were really good, like we were like, whoa, like we're getting an 8 in Pitchfork, like that's crazy. Or like, getting, we had really good press, at the time. Like, so we were being reviewed in like every magazine and like interviews, and like, it was just like stuff we never did before, or had. Like, we were just like, we would get like a review in Heart Attack and like be like, yay.
Yeah.
Like that was like your one thing, and they're like, these guys
Punk Planet, holy shit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or like Punk Planet, yeah, like meanest band in the country, Rye Coalition, and Earth Crisis. We're like, what? Really? Okay, sure. Yeah, so it started getting a little more popular. We started getting better shows, and like our shows started to get more crowded, and like we just kept grinding, and that's what led us to get like noticed by like I guess majors and stuff, and like whatever, we got a tour with Queens of the Stone Age from that album, and then that's where it started snowballing to the next level of like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're playing with a band who's also happens to be awesome, but is also that popular.
Queens, I love Queens, like to death.
So like
I watched them every night in awe, like from the side of the stage.
Yeah.
And that's with Mark Lanigan. It was right when Songs from the Deaf came out, right after Dave left and Joey joined.
Mark Lanigan, also former guest of the show, and that was before
I did my research.
He told a great story about walking around trying to score drugs, and Josh came along, and everyone thought he was an undercover cop.
I mean, he's very narky for sure.
He does have that like.
He looks like a cop.
He's got that cop look. I mean, like
a good-looking cop.
Yeah, exactly. A very handsome,
tall
undercover
cop.
Yeah.
No, but they were super, super sweet to us. They're like, come backstage whenever you want, any food you want, any drinks you want. Like, it was like, we never witnessed anything like that. We never played with a band that big,
A different world.
And like, the audience just like, you come out and it's like, you better not suck. You're like, fuck. And like that would just like feed us, like that would egg us on to just be like more insane,
Yeah. Like, all right,
and like
fuck
our
it.
Ralph was just like, he was relentless with people, like getting everyone's faces and like jumping to the crowd, and like, so we would always like, we never had it like, it would start off where they were sketchy about us and like, we're gonna throw tomatoes, and it would turn into like, we would play, and then we would jump into the audience right after, and like, and everyone's like, oh shit, what's going on? You guys are great, like, because most bands don't go into the audience when they play like shows like that. We would just like start drinking with people and doing shots and like giving people free records and T-shirts, and like, we were just press the flesh, because no one wanted to see us. They wanted to see Queens.
Yeah, I've totally said in situations like that, it's like, let's be clear, you're in the way of everyone's favorite. Like, everyone is there, and like, you are in the way of that happening. So this,
but you're also hoping that like there are enough people that realize you're there for a reason. Like, oh, maybe they like them, and that's why you're there. Which was the case with the Foo Fighters. Like that tour was great because they loved us every night. Those people, those Europeans. They were like, oh, they're here because Dave likes them, probably. Like, you don't get a tour with them unless he likes you. So yeah.
So you're playing these bigger crowds, and you got these.
Sorry, it's getting dark here. Hold on, let me see if I get some light. Yeah.
There you go. You've got these songs that are kind of naturally designed to scale up, right? Like songs that like you don't have to have that sweaty basement feel to get that power across. So it's not that it's a coincidence when you stretch to the imagination, but it's just a nice confluence of you guys being at your best selves, like writing this like big ass rock music, for lack of a better term, and then also being big ass rock shows too. Definitely.
Yeah, totally.
Seems like that also hit at a time that, not to put too fine a point on it, but before music changed again, and you could kind of build things organically in that same way. It's like right before, the next. So, did you have any feelings at the time of, oh, I could just keep doing this? Like this is like.
Yeah, we were just like, this is it. Like, let's just be a band, and that's it. We all quit our jobs. We all did, that was it. We're like done. We're a band.
What was that first day afterwards? Were you like, yeah, or were you like, fuck?
Yeah, it was more the latter. I mean, it wasn't until we got signed where we were like,
yeah,
like, okay, we have some money now in our bank accounts that we can, live not comfortably, but like, we could pay our rent and still be normal human beings. Like, we could practice and tour, and I mean, it's literally like, you were working. I mean, if you spread out the money over 3-4 years, it was like you worked at a job, but you didn't have to go. But
job happens to be playing rock music, which is
yeah. So we would practice like 6-7 hours a day, and we were trying to like expand on what On Top did, and I don't know. I'll wait till you get to that part of the conversation.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So all right. So last thing with On Top, did you ever deal with a lot of the cross arms crowd sort of being like, oh, what? I don't like it. Sounds like Grand Funk Railroad. Like, did you ever?
Yeah, sure. 100%. I mean, they, it was weird if they would come to shows and do that, because then Ralph would like be in their faces. But like, they were like, oh, I like their first two albums, and the KARP spin. Like, so you want us to just be like no effects and just put out the same record and the Ramones, or which no offense to them, they know what they're doing, but like every Bad Religion record sounds the same, and every like you can't expect it, like kids to be the same when they're 21, when they're 16, or 22, or 23, or 24, whatever.
Well, and there's something kind of gross about if you see like 45-year-old man trying to sing songs about 16-year-old girls. It's like, ugh.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
Gonna get you on a list around my neighborhood.
Right, exactly. You wind up on a very weird list.
65, like, okay, depending on how hard they lived.
Exactly.
Well, so in between there was New Sheriff, right? There was in between
No, after On Top, no, all those 7 inches came out first before that stuff.
The 7 inches. That's right. Sorry, I was gonna. Look, man, I was gonna do my
It was
homework.
On Top, and then it was Jersey Girls. Then there was like the ZZ Top topless 7-inch.
That's right.
And then the Sub Pop 7-inch, and then Curses.
So, wild ramp up to Curses.
Yes.
that in and of itself could be a show. I feel.
Yeah.
And that's just from
There's
what
a
I
lot.
remember the documentary, which I haven't seen in years because it's not available for streaming anywhere. I have no clue where my
On
DVD.
YouTube. It's like $3 on YouTube.
Oh, is it really? Oh, I didn't think.
Yeah, someone just told me.
You know, I was like trying to watch a movie the other day that was like, I was like, why isn't this on any of these stupid services I pay for?
It's like on YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube. I'm like,
It's always
Oh.
on YouTube. That's the answer.
maybe I should have checked that first. All right.
Everything's on YouTube.
Thanks.
No problem, son.
Okay, so you're in this rip roaring rock band. Your band at the height of its power.
Yeah.
You're not, and you're far along enough in your career that in other bands people would be like burning out, but you're just kind of like just getting ready to go. You're like firing up, right?
Because we started so young, yeah.
So, talk to me about the mindset of kind of like feeling like, you know, did it feel like the calm before the storm? Did it feel like you know, just another day in paradise? Like what's
I don't know. Well, before Curses, you mean, or like getting signed and stuff?
Yeah, getting, so you got Jersey Girls, you got 7 inches, you're keeping your momentum going, right? You're still do music, but do you have this idea that you're going to do this big work next? Or is it just like that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, and the whole thing started like, you know, I don't know, like it's weird. Like the you know, we got signed at a really good time, like because DreamWorks was like the label, you know, like Elliot was on there and like Jimmy Eat World, and, you know, all these bands that were cool, like they were allowed to do whatever they wanted, and we were like, that's where we want to be, you know, like the label that lets the band do what they want to do. And then, like, you know, all this stuff happened with Napster and music being ruined, so everything got shut down. So we were never like, we didn't know, you know, we just like wrote songs as we normally did. It wasn't like anything special. We were just like playing 8 hours a day, you know, like we were signed now. I mean,
in your court, you had people on your side that were hard for you, which is, I mean, I don't care who you are, you need that at any level, but to have people that can actually, you know, make things happen for you that's huge.
Yeah, totally. And we were all psyched, and then it all fell to shit, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite record, but it was my favorite record to make.
Do you feel like,
You know,
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No. I mean, you know, we were in LA, living there for months on end, like hanging out with all our friends and like doing fun stuff. And like Dave was like, you know, a sweetheart, like taking us out to eat and throwing barbecues, and like, you know, Jack Black's showing up, and like fucking Dio, whatever. You know, like all these people are showing up, and like we're like, oh my god, this is like so cool. You know, like, you know, for 5 like dirtbags like from Jersey, like this is shit. Like it's like the peek behind the curtain. Like, oh, this is how like those things were done. You know,
yeah.
Like, yeah, it was really cool making that album. I mean, I think
You
it was
got to put
compromised.
Cocaine werewolf on a major label. You know, I mean, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, almost on a major
Win
label.
by anybody's imagination.
Yeah, I think everything but like maybe just like how it finally turned out was, there was a little misfire on that. Like maybe, you know, like I think Steve could have done a good job on that album too.
Do you
But
feel?
I think we were blinded by the light, you know?
Yeah. Do you think it was being surrounded by like that crowd and that's the kind of
You know, like you're
fine
just, like
wandering.
psyched. Like you could be like, you know, farting to the mic and be like, "This sounds great."
Yeah.
You know, like we're at Sound City where Fleetwood Mac recorded Rumors, you know, or like where Nirvana recorded Nevermind, you know, like you're just so happy that like we were just so happy that we lost sight of stuff, like giving up creative control and like, you know, compromising our songs, which showed in the like 1.7 Pitchfork review that came out when it, yeah, it wasn't 1.7. It was like 4 or 5 maybe, or 3. I don't know. It was bad though. And the guy was right to a degree, but he also like, I think he writes like pet supply reviews now, that guy.
That's
like fucking Google him now.
Yeah,
where? Like, what are you doing now? Fuck face.
He's giving 1.7 reviews to a scratching pad.
Kitty litter. It sucks. Their first kitty litter was better. Yeah.
But totally. I mean, that, as dudes that sort of defined your own destiny for like years and years and years, like
let me put on a light. It's getting dark. It's like a talking orb right now.
You'd be sitting there, it's all gothic style.
Shut up, dog.
They're still angry about that review. They're still angry about that.
The dogs are angry.
The Chew Toy review, yes. They're like,
okay, that's a little better.
I got this because of that dude's Chew Toy review, and this Chew Toy sucks.
Oh, you fucking lied to me.
Fire.
Yeah. No, I actually did search that guy out, and like he does something like that. I hope he's listening too. Come over here and fight me.
Speaking of Pitchfork, I mean that is also they, you know, allow me to conduct my TED talk for a moment and say there was a moment in time suddenly decided that they didn't like rock music collectively anymore.
Oh yeah.
Which
and and that was also the time where they were the be all end all.
Oh yes.
Where they're so not anymore, you know.
Only in town. People, it's weird to people like, oh, why would you read that? Because it was literally all there was.
Yeah, it was like the thing. It was like that in Brooklyn Vegan or whatever.
Yeah, and Brooklyn Vegan 1.0, which was hilarious by comparison compared to what they are now.
Right.
But again, so all right, so reset and all that. Your dudes driving your own destiny, right? And then creative control being like a pretty big deal, like where they're
like we never had a producer, you know. Like Steve never did any of that shit. He was just like, all right, I'm gonna hit record now, go. Yeah. You know, he would be like, you know what, you guys kind of sucked at that point, but like it was never like a producer. He was like, I think you could do it better, you know. Like he would say stuff like that, but never like someone like taking your songs and changing the parts and like being like, do this 3 times, do this 2 times, and then switch to this, and you're like, huh? You know, you're just like, it's so like weird for us.
Granular. Yeah, it's specific. Yeah, and that's.
Yeah. And I mean, we did learn a lot. And I definitely learned, like, I learned so much from Dave about playing drums. Like, you know, he's unreal. Like, he's literally one of the most amazing drummers alive.
It's pretty
far. Good. And like playing next to him, like right next to him, you're like, holy shit, dude. Like, you're on a different level. But yeah, like we learned a lot, and we also kind of suffered in a way.
Yeah, because it seems like the path you guys were on was to take sort of, you know, Kiss style theater, but come at it from your informed place. But it almost didn't seem like it was quite representative of where your place was, like where it was coming from.
Yeah. I just think, there was a misfire somewhere. And like to, you know, and like Dave went to bat for us a lot with Jimmy Iovine, you know. He's like, trust me, like, you know, these guys are great. Like, you see them live and you're like floored, you know. And Jimmy Iovine just wanted us to be like AC/DC, you know, like. And we're like, that's not what we do. And there's supposedly there's a story where he's watching Queens of the Stone Age, and they'd already put out like 2 albums on Interscope, and he's like, who are these guys? They're great. We got to sign them. And they're like, you guys already put out 2 albums. I don't know if that's true. I could be bullshitting. Who knows?
I kind of love that story. I hope it is true.
Yeah, I do too. I thought it was really fun.
Show what that dude was up to. Yeah.
I mean, he's Jimmy Iovine. He's got a lot on his plate.
Yeah,
but he just didn't like us, which is fine, you know. Like we made it. far enough, like further than every one of our friends did. So, God bless.
Has it taken you a while to kind of reach that Zen-like attitude?
No. It was shortly after, actually. I mean, it sucked for a while, There was like a weird moment in time where we were like, wow. And like we broke up and we're like, are we a band? Or we're like, what are we doing? But yeah, a few years later, you're just like, if we don't do anything, like we did something, like at least there's these records that, and then like, luckily we used to film everything from like when we were 15 to like, so like there's a movie, like there's reminders and like if someone wants to find it, they'll find it. And if someone finds it accidentally and likes it, great, It is what it is, to use a gross cliche.
which is completely cliche, but cliches are cliches for a reason, right?
So yeah. Like we gave it a shot and did it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know any other jerks besides Kool and the Gang from Jersey City that made a run for it.
Well, and I mean, did you have the idea at some point that okay, party's over? Like, was it like what was there ever like kind of like a moment of clarity?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was a moment. It was I think we were on tour with Priestess and Nashville Pussy. And I love Priestess so much. Oh my God. That first album was ridiculous. Yeah, we were playing with them and like we just weren't getting along. And at the time my wife's dad was like really sick and he was like dying. And I was like, I gotta go home, and like that was it. We didn't talk for like years. And then, you get on with life. I think it was at like one of my kids' birthday parties, like everyone showed up and like we were like what are we doing? Like we're childhood friends. Like why are we not talking to each other? And then we just started playing again. Because we were friends first. That's the thing you gotta remember. Right. It wasn't like I know a dude and like this guy answered the ad from the EC Rocker and we were just friends who learned how to be a band, like accidentally.
Yeah, and that's not good. That friendship should not have to go away because of happenstance, right? So
right, no matter what, we were all friends the whole entire time. So yeah.
So I like that. And you guys have played.
We still play, and we've been practicing a lot lately, actually. Like writing new stuff, like
really
that sounds like older stuff. Thankfully, yeah, like we're getting together. Me and my brother are both playing drums, and yeah, we're doing this. We're just doing it. See what happens. Play, record. Who knows? Like whatever. Like there's no rules anymore.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned that because I think there was at one point. It's weird to kids. At one point, there was a stigma towards bands uniting.
Right, but we never broke up. Like it's not a reuniting. We never broke up.
Yeah, just went into like our battery saver mode.
Sure. I mean, even look at like Shellac. They've been a band forever. How long do they go into to battery saver mode?
Yeah, I mean that's the key to longevity.
Yeah, it's like we'll do it when we want to do it.
Do you think that? Are you thinking that like you might like do a record at some point? Or
yeah, hopefully, yeah, I'm sure. I think the the whole Corona thing too, like got us all itchy. Like I mean, most of the guys were stuck in their house. I was going to work still in New York every day, but like everyone being home for a year got them like rethinking and like shit, like why are we not playing? Like we play well together, we know each other. So once everyone got their shots and shit, we all started getting back together and like playing 2 drum sets. It's like super fun.
Yeah, that's
a little added bonus.
I was gonna say that's some who is that? I'm trying to think of the band that's
God, there's a bunch.
I mean, yeah, there are a bunch. And there's a couple even that have done it well, but there was something I was going to make a real specific reference, but it's gone. Sorry,
like Allman Brothers or Melvins. I mean,
no, well, it's not. People Tortois, yes, forget about Tortois.
Tortois, as they're known in Chicago.
So And also, music didn't stop afterwards. Like you got Cold Fur.
Yeah,
too.
That was fun too.
Yes.
What was that?
How did Cold Fur come to pass?
They were those two dudes, the guitar player and the bass player, were in this band called The Want, and I demand you to find their album. It's called Greatest Hits Volume 5. It was on it's the only album. They have other ones like independent, but Southern Lord. It's on Southern Lord Records, which Southern Lord kind of like disappeared it from their catalog. You could find, there was like they were, I don't know, it's a long story, but we were at Tim Green's house from the Champs, and he's blasting this record. We're like, who is this? Like a weird Zeppelin bootleg that we don't know about, like unreleased songs? And he's like, no. He's like, it says here they're from Hoboken. I was like, what? I was like, it's now? This is like, he's like, yeah, it just came out like on Greg's label. And we're like, no. So he gave us a CD where like we listened to it like every single day. And then like, whatever, all the shit happened. And I'm like, let me find these guys on Facebook, whatever. Oh, it's MySpace actually. Sorry.
Get your
I
top
found them, and I got Tom in there, and we just like met them, and like they're two, like one of the greatest bass players and guitar players I've ever played with. They're insane. I don't know if you've heard the album, but they're sick, the two of them. And we recorded with Steve again with them, and super fun. It's a good album. I mean, it's a little like missing link between like maybe what the next Rye album would have sounded like.
Yeah.
Like a little more metal. Yeah.
Got some bombast.
Yeah, it's a good album. I'm proud of that one.
Do you think back to like your life now, and then back when you were, touring hard, and certain things when you go out to see, you got like tour life, right? And there's a great. Well, there's Dave's documentary, sure, that just came out, but Eric from the Bismarck, who was just on the show a few episodes back, did this great documentary called "Why Am I Doing This?" And
yes, great title.
So yeah, and there's a whole segment towards finding a place to defecate, which is sort of like, I was like, oh yeah, people think it's all glamour. Like this is real. That's.
So it's like sometimes it's snowing in Colorado and you find a baseball field and shit on home plate, because you think the little bathroom's going to be open, because in your childhood every bathroom was open at a Little League field.
Yeah.
No.
This turns out not so much.
It's literally like people don't like, oh, you go on tour, it must be so fun. You're like, dude, you have no idea how hard it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun for that hour.
Yeah. And there's maybe like 2 hours of cool hangs on either side, and then the rest of it.
Totally. And the rest is driving. And, like 6 guys smoking nonstop. And then like the same Nick Cave mix 14 times. And then like someone throws on Billy Joel's Scenes from an Italian Restaurant and everyone gets psyched. And then that's it. That's your day. It's like, please, like, who has like a quarter so I get a bean burrito?
But nobody wants to hear about that because everyone's been trained, almost famous, and all of these movies.
Right, and they think that's what it is.
Must be a non-stop. Oh, you get laid all the time?
Yeah, it's like every day. That's like constantly.
Yeah.
Dudes, girls, whatever I wanted, dogs.
Various animals, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was the craziest time. It was like, no, it was nothing. It was 7 of us in a van all the time. Smelled like farts.
Nobody wants to hear?
Like sock smell and sweat. That's what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
So it ended up being a useful thing that you guys took so much video over the years, though, because one of the coolest things about that Rye Coalition doc is you get like all of the eras. Like it's sort of I mean, did you ever? Yeah, it's not like you had some grandmaster plan.
No, we had no plan. We just had a camcorder.
Yeah. Was that just off of like, hey, let's do this for a goof, or like like boredom?
I don't know. It was just like we're going away. Like it's like going to going to Disney World with your family. Yeah. Like you bring a camcorder. Like this was something you bring a camcorder to. Yeah.
Well, and it's
and the
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, I'm sorry. No, I had nothing to say. Literally.
The only other band I know that did that was L7. That was one of the reasons why that L7 documentary is really good
Right.
too. Is
Right. Mm-hmm.
all these like kind of cool, bizarre moments.
Yeah.
That-
The KARP one was good too. That was great. There was a lot of young footage too.
True.
Yeah.
Wearing the shirt, you think I'd remember the band, but whatever. And so okay, yeah. So I mean, that was like a thing that took a while to put together the documentary, and is it?
Yeah, Jenny did a great job. It's all her. No, we had nothing to do with it.
Was it trippy? Like just seeing it, like when you see
it played. There's this amazing. Oh, I think it was Rutgers the first time. It was in a film festival, and it was the first time I saw it. And it was on a big screen. I was like, oh my god, like goosebumps, but in a weird way. Like it's just like you're like embarrassed, but like I can't explain it. Like you're seeing yourself grow up on a screen, and there's other people watching, and it's like, it's weird. And she like somehow made a narrative. Like she did a great job. Like it's all her. I'm totally unbiased because we had nothing to do with it. But yeah, seeing that's just like weird. It's like, god damn, we did a lot of shit.
And so much of it is just the pained earnestness of dudes having a good time.
Yeah.
Like there's that like what are the like how are they gonna get cross country, like that whole
right. Yeah, my John's grandmother, sure.
Yeah, which is just such a great moment.
All the footage left out of us like jumping in the guy's pickup truck at like 2 a.m. Like, dude, we could have died so many times. Not just us, like other bands too.
Right? Yeah.
Like hitchhiking in Tennessee, like is that safe for us? Like we need gas. Like what do you like? There's no like just call your AAA on your phone. Like you were stuck on the highway at 2 a.m. You were stuck on the highway at 2 a.m.
Yeah, there is a certain thing to touring in that time and style, like the maximum rock and roll, like pulling up.
Yes, totally.
That's what we did. Did you get the tape we sent over? Oh no. Can you just tell me what it sounded like? Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, that's what we did.
and not having the safety net, not having I will say now again, coming back to the TED Talk. Now it's like long drive. Whoever's not driving, they're sitting there on their phone. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's nice, but I mean, have you ever done a tour with no air conditioning and no stereo? Because that'll really tell you if you want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we always had a stereo, thank God. But the air conditioning, yeah, that was later.
Yeah, that's what. Oh,
way later.
Fancy, huh? All right.
We used to call it 270 air conditioning, 2 windows open, doing 70. Total dad joke.
You don't have to worry about what you're listening to. You're listening to the wind.
When you're driving through Phoenix and it's like 1:30, like it's 1:30 in your van.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, why does it feel like there's 2 hair dryers blowing in my face?
Because you're driving in a large heated metal box across it.
That we painted black for some reason.
Oh, black looks cool. Yeah, I guess
painted black. Yeah.
None more black. None more black.
None more black. No.
But seriously, getting back to the documentary, like seeing it all like put out like that, like just like as a timeline, as narrative structure. That. I mean, I imagine it's got to be just like it
was freaky to see. Yeah.
Emotions, yeah. I mean, that's wild.
Like,
right?
wow, holy shit! And like that, you don't know, like we gave her like 1,000 hours worth of footage. You don't know what's making it, So like you're just like it was a surprise. And you're like, oh shit, I forgot about that, or I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
This may sound like a weird question, but did you learn anything from it?
I mean, a lot of it is just we just remembered how we were just friends first, like, and the music was second. I mean, the music did become first later, but we were just like, before we started playing music, we would just hang out, like we would go drive somewhere and like listen to music and like do whatever, and I was still in Merrill too sometimes. So like I had a band, they were like trying to play music, whatever. but like we were just friends, like, and that's what I learned from it. It was just like, friendship. Like those guys are my brothers forever,
There's worse lessons to learn, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. Like don't go on tour. That could be a lesson. Or like go to law school or doctoring school.
Build a career. Yeah.
Lawyering or doctoring school is better. Yeah, no, I don't regret a minute of it. Yeah, that's all I got.
Is there a record you think that Rye could have made?
I don't know. I mean, maybe the last one done differently, but who knows? I don't know. Maybe the next one is the one we could have made.
Maybe the one you're about to make, huh?
I don't know. I mean, we're not that old, dude.
Exactly. Especially look at the fact that like Keith Richards is like fucking 175 years old and they're still fucking
74. One of those 174, 75.
Wheeling him out on stage. Late Saturday.
He still does it. I mean, like,
all respect and love. Let's be explicitly clear. That is an old dude. Like seriously.
Very and hard living.
Yeah, and he looks like exactly.
He's basically he probably is dead.
The fact that he's outlived every single Ramone blows my mind. But
well, there's two left, isn't there? Who's left?
Of the OG lineup.
Marky's left, right?
Yeah, Mark Bell's still around and kicking.
Marky and what's his face?
CJ.
Tommy.
Oh, Tommy. Didn't Tommy pass?
No, I don't think so. I also thought a good band name would be Dead Ramones. But no one took me up on it. Like make the same shirt, and then put all the dead ones in the circle, in the crest.
Well, you'd have to include Tom. He passed away.
Did he?
He did.
Tommy's dead, so it's a CJ and Marky.
Mark Bell.
Wow. Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh, there you go. You learned a little something coming up.
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Dave, this has been great, man. And like, I love the idea that you guys are still playing. And
it's brand new. It's been like 3 weeks now, 4 weeks. And it's, I mean, like most of the time we just like sit and just joke. Like we're not even playing, like, and we have like a group text that's just like insane. Like it's so funny. Like you'll wake up and it'll be like 400 new texts. You're like, what happened last night? And then you have to like catch up and you're like, oh my God, it's just the most insane ramblings.
I've read.
It's great. I love it. I love this whole new found like love we found for each other.
I think there's a lot of folks that are going to enjoy listening to this. And
yeah, I hope.
I'm glad you agreed to do it.
Anytime you want.
The last thing I did, well, you say that now. Come back on. Jerry Casale said the same thing, and he's been on four times now.
See, there you go. There's always something to talk about.
Yeah, you could be like the Jay Leno. You can go host the show eventually.
What are you gonna say?
Oh, yeah. So last thing, it's the only canned question I ever asked folks, and I just kind of like hearing the different responses. You can choose to interpret it however you like, but why do what you do?
Why do I do what I do? So talking about being a musician, being in a band, playing drums, going on tour. That's a great question. I mean, it's because you love it. That's the only reason why you do it. Like there was no reward or rainbow or pot of gold to end the rainbow in 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, like we just kept going because like it made us happy, and like whether or not people caught on or, eventually they did or not everyone, but whoever did catch on, like for those people, like we were psyched, like if you're a fan of us, we were psyched, if it's one person or 10 people, or I'll get a Facebook message or an Instagram DM, like your album, like change my, I'll be like, and like I'll text with them for like 2 hours, like it's just like, it's amazing that you've touched anyone with something you wrote or a show you played or a joke you made or, you know, whatever. That's it. That's all I got.
Dave, thanks so much, man. It's been great having you.
Likewise, thank you.
We won't say goodbye. We'll say until next time.
All right, keep it, take her sleazy.
All right, brother.
Have a good night. I got to see if Milwaukee beat the Nets. I don't even know.
We've been busy doing this crap.
I know. Jesus Christ. I got to friggin' bet on this game.
All right, talk to you later, buddy.
Peace.
Bye. Oh, there he goes. Dave Leto. Let's play a song. Thanksgiving Day for Cats. Rye Coalition, Protonic Reversal.
Last time I saw your face, I cried, 'cause I knew I'd never hold your hands again. This may be the first time, the last time have a drink. This one's on me. How about a sip of water? I wish I could know you better. I wish I could. Who's balling ass? You or the donkey?
Vacations. A little band called Rye Coalition. Perhaps you've heard of them. And before that, we had off of the also awesome on top, Stairway to the Freebird on the Way to the Smoky Water. And before that, from the first record, Fucking with Beautiful Posture. And before that, the one and only Thanksgiving Day for Cats. Which is not just a song I love, it's a song title I love. Anyway, that was Dave Leto from fucking Rye Coalition. Hell yeah. He's on Instagram. He's on the internet. If you've heard of it. Apparently there's Rye Coalition stuff coming out. I break news on this show all the time. I never get a lick of credit for it, but that's not news I expected to break, and that's welcome. That's welcome news. Hope you guys are stoked about that. I know I am. And I hope you guys are stoked about that interview, because it really was.
As we come to the close of our broadcast day.
The name of the show is Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal. Thank you so much for listening to it, as always.
This is my farewell transmission.
The show airs on Radio Nope Thursdays, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. Say yes to Nope. Archives, ProtonicReversal.com.
This is America. All ships at sea.
Always free, no ads, no sponsors, no kidding.
Anyone within the sound of my voice.
If you like the show and want to get episodes sooner, just like this one, $1 a month, patreon.com/ProtonicReversal. We'll get you there.
50,000 watts of power.
Thanks for everyone liking, sharing, subscribing,
Eyes the air.
saying nice things about the show. It helps people find it. Literally, the algorithms, it helps it. And I appreciate you listening. That's it.
This microphone
No sales pitch.
turns sound into electricity.
Lots of cool shit coming up. Thanks for hanging in there.
Can you hear me now?
Stay safe out there.
Out on Route 128, in the dark and lonely.
And take it easy.
I got my radio on. Can you hear me now? 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 See the radio. And that snare drum and that drum roll means we've got a winner. If you're the fifth caller, or any caller at all, welcome to my top 10. I'd like to thank our sponsor. But we haven't got a sponsor. Not if you were the last man on earth. She was prepared to prove it. This one goes out to a special girl. But there is no special girl. It's the end of radio. The last announcer plays the record. The last what leaves the transmitter, circles the globe, and
Is it really broadcasting if there's no one there to receive? It's the end of radio. As we come to the close of our broadcast day, got my radio on. Can you hear me now? This is a test! If this had been a real emergency,